We're very pleased to have with us in our first segment two individuals who are business leaders in the community, but have come together in a new partnership. Jim Umphrey, who from Kelleher and Sadowsky, who kind of helps run the show over at Kelleher and Sadowsky, a long-time Worcester company that I'll let you talk about, and Meghan Liddy, who recently joined the firm but has been active in the chamber in a couple of her different roles in the banking community. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning. Jim, maybe you could tell us a little bit about Kelleher and Sadowsky, as I mentioned, longtime firm in the commercial real estate brokerage space.
So the company was founded in 1981 by Bill Kelleher and Harold Sadowsky. They both have since retired, but I've been with the firm since 1985. We do commercial brokerage services. So we don't own property, we just do brokerage. And we represent landlords and sellers, we represent tenants and buyers, and we do anything from office space to industrial to development to pad-ready sites to value-add type investments. And we also now are doing mortgage brokerage. So that is a service that we started, Don Mancini, one of my partners, started about 4 years ago. And we were fortunate enough to get Meghan to join us. Meghan's got 20 years of banking experience, and we really felt as though this was an opportunity for our company to really grow because we're less limited geographically as far as doing this type of service. So we really looked at it and said, in order for us to really make a strong play in this particular forum, we needed somebody like Meghan, who's got a huge wealth of banking experience and a tremendous reputation in the financial services industry.
So the brokerage on the commercial side, so if somebody's not familiar with that who's watching the show, it's almost like a residential real estate broker, but you're a commercial real estate broker working for businesses who are looking to relocate, find tenants.
So as an example, like we sold what is now Mercantile Center, downtown Worcester, which you're obviously very familiar with. You were pretty much the architect of that whole city square development. Yeah. But so we worked with the developer, Chip Norton from Franklin Realty Advisors, to assemble the equity, to identify a major tenant that would go into the space that was empty, being UMass Memorial Healthcare. So that would be something that we would do as an example, but we also represented Reliant Medical Group when they have, as most people watching the show have probably seen, they've been opening new facilities all throughout Worcester County. So we represented them as their broker to negotiate sales and leases of all these various properties.
And so the new role that Meghan's going to play is, so if often you mentioned equity, but they've got to sometimes assemble financing. Maybe Meghan, you can talk about the new role.
Sure. What is a mortgage broker? A lot of people, around here, I don't think are very familiar with that concept. So coming from the Boston and the Metro West market, thrilled to be back in Worcester. But it's really a unique ability for us because there's really not any other firms providing that service right now. So essentially, it's an intermediary for debt placement. And our role is to act solely as an advocate for the property owner, developer, to find them the best financing package to support their project. And why would someone use an intermediary to go out to the banks and shop the banks? Well, there's some unique benefits. One, they get to focus on their core competencies, which is real estate development and focusing on doing what they need to do at their project, getting the tenants in place and what have you. But it also drives competition amongst the banks. So it drives the cost of borrowing down. It also, sometimes borrowers might need some unique terms within that loan structure, whether they have a construction project and they're going to need some interest-only period, and some people need flexible prepayment penalty because they have a group of investors behind them that have a horizon for investing that's 3 years or 4 years, and so maybe that 5-year prepayment penalty doesn't work for them. So there's a lot of specific benefit to using a mortgage broker. It's very common practice in the Boston market. I would say, probably, a strong 70–80% of the strong developers in Boston use debt placement intermediaries. And so we're excited to be a part of all the great projects that are going to be happening. I think I picked a good time to come back to the Worcester market.
And hopefully it'll continue. But I think it's a great service. So, and you mentioned kind of allowing a developer, a business owner, to kind of focus on their core competency, rather than having to knock on the doors themselves of a half a dozen banks, try
Correct.
to learn about their particular products, how it may or may not fit. You go out and kind of do that work for them and then present, hey, here are your options and here's the pros and cons of each one of them.
Correct. And I think, a big part of my job is staying very close to all the community bankers who I've gotten to know most of them over the years. But, banks' business is constantly changing. So I think, it's an important message that it brings efficiency to both sides of the equation. Some bankers kind of cringe when they hear mortgage broker. But, with 20 years of commercial lending, that's all I've done for the past 20 years in my career. I'm looking at the deal before it gets to them with a banker's eye. So I can present it to them in a nice package that I know fits the current asset mix that they desire on their balance sheets. So, everybody wins. And it's, at the end of the day, the result's a high degree of execution for the bank and the borrower.
Right.
And it puts a really good relationship in place going forward for that bank and for that developer or investor.
So it's important to, most people, as far as mortgages, are really familiar with a residential mortgage. And a residential mortgage is pretty boilerplate. There's very few variables that you really would ever negotiate in a mortgage. The rate, maybe points. You decide whether you want a 15, 20, or a 30. But in a commercial mortgage, part of what Meghan brings as a service is to understand your project. You could be a business owner. You're going to buy a building and operate your business in it, and you're going to buy some new equipment, and so she can help understand what is the best program. Is it a SBA loan? What is the right type of bank to be able to meet that need? Because banks are like any other business. They have niches that they fit better in a certain box than others. So I think the financing with in a commercial setting can be very different. You can do interest only for a period of time. You can do, and the mortgages are not like a residential where if you do a 20-year mortgage, you have 20 years to pay it off. In a commercial setting, you might have a 25-year amortization, but the note is only for 5 years. So it just is more complex, and having somebody with that level of experience just can help navigate a borrower through the process more effectively.
Well, good stuff, and I think hopefully with the economic development momentum continuing, it'll be a service that more developers and property owners will be able to take advantage of. But thanks for joining us on this segment of the show. And if people want to learn more, Kelleher Sadowsky, I'm sure, has a website.
Yep, www.kelleher-sadowsky.com.
Excellent.